A lot of people are zeroing in on England v Scotland, but there's a far more important match from a Springbok perspective. And in this episode, you are going to get a front row seat as I preview that fixture. I will of course also discuss the English and the Scots, as well as Ireland v Wales. So, the big one, from a Bok point of view, is Italy versus France. Why? Two reasons. One, Italy will be South Africa's opponents in July for a two-test series, so we want to get a nice close look at these guys. Dr. Rassie Erasmus will be watching this one very closely, and so should we. Now, to be sure, I don't expect the Azzurri to pull off an upset in Rome. I think the French will win, but they are going to be given a proper workout. And I want to show you something about the French match day squad. Coach Fabien Galthié has opted to go with a 7-1 split on the bench. You heard that correctly, 7-1. Someone quickly check in on Matt Williams. Shall we call this Le Bomb Squad? Galthié has made a few changes to his team for this match in any event. Let's have a quick look at what he's decided to do. Jean-Baptiste Gros, Piato Mavoka and Winnie Antonio is a pretty formidable front row. Thibaut Flamand and Michael Gillard in the second row, and a fine back row consisting of François Cor, Paul Boudahent and Grégory Aldrit. I hope I've pronounced those names correctly. My French is not great, I must admit. Antoine Dupont, he's the captain with Thomas Ramos at fly half. He replaces Mathieu Jalibert. That means Leo Barret is at fullback with Louis Bielbiaré and Theo Atisogbe on the wings. Yoram Moefana and Pierre-Louis Barassi are in the centres, and I told you they've gone 7-1. Just look at this bench. Julien Marchand, Cyril Bailly and Dorian Aldegheri are the fresh front row, and then Galthié has selected Roman Tawefefenua, Alexandre Rouma, both locks, and two flanks, Oscar Jegu and Anthony Gelange on his bench. That is a grand total of 7 forwards. I hope we will hear some kind of outcry from our good friend Matt Williams over the next 24 to 48 hours, guys. I really do. I mean, after all, is lone backline player Maxime Luku not being discriminated against? Is this not unethical? Does this not go against the spirit of the game? Anyway, whatever. What I can say about the home team in Rome is, well, quite a few things actually. Firstly, they will be desperate to right the wrongs of last season. They had a golden opportunity to beat France in France. What awful luck that was. And it finished in a draw. I've been watching the Italians very closely in this Six Nations so far, and I would like to think Rassie has taken note of the same things I have. So far, I've been impressed by the Italian scrum, and among their forward pack, I've also been very impressed by players like Danilo Fischetti, Simone Ferrari, Captain Michele Lamaro, Sebastian Negri, and Lorenzo Cannone, a formidable back row, I must say. All three of them also do really good work at the breakdown. Italy also have some really talented backline players. Paolo Garbisi is an accomplished fly half, and in Nacho Brex and Tommaso Menoncello, they have a centre pairing that any international coach would take. Ange Capuozzo is a dangerous customer on the wing, and Tommaso Allen can kick anything over the poles from 50 meters out. And between Garbisi, Capuozzo and Allen, they also have right and left foot kicking options, which is very handy. They also have a great never say die attitude, and they keep fighting no matter what. And that's exactly how they managed to claw their way back in their opening match against Scotland. Yes, I know that they lost that one, but they were far behind and they managed to fight back so that with 20 minutes to go, we had parity in Edinburgh. Now, their defence isn't bad, but I do think it's vulnerable. The Welsh were able to maul their way over for a try, for example. The French pack is a considerable upgrade from what Wales have to offer. Les Bleus also have far more attacking options available to them. So I'm expecting a spirited Italian fight that ultimately ends in a 10-point win for France. Next up, we have England versus Scotland at Twickenham. This is the big one, apparently. Steve Borthwick has again opted to go with Finn Smith at 10 and Marcus Smith at fullback. I think the big one here for me is that Borthwick has gone with a 6-2 bench split. Fancy that. But he doesn't have a specialist lock on the bench. Now, we've spoken before at length about the bomb squad on this channel, and our friends in the Northern Hemisphere and even in New Zealand, they don't quite get how it works. If you're going to go 6 forwards on your bench, that means that each of the 6 that are among the replacements are able to fill the gaps that are currently there. So you have a fresh front row. Remember, that's mandatory as per World Rugby's laws. And then the other 3 forwards that Dr. Rassie Erasmus typically puts on the bench are men that cover lock as well as flank. So you have versatility. Borthwick seems to have missed that point altogether because you've got Jamie George, Finn Baxter and Joe Hayes as your replacement front row, right? That's as per what you have to have. Then Ted Hill, Chandler Cunningham South and Ben Curry are all loose forwards. Now, Hill is the man who has come in after a late injury withdrawal on the part of George Martin. Now, obviously, Borthwick can't be held accountable for an injury to someone as handy as Martin, it has to be said. But that means that England are either going to play the full 80 minutes with Captain Maro Itoje and Ollie Chessum on the field, or Tom Curry, Ben Earl, Tom Willis, or one of those replacement loosies that I just mentioned are going to be asked to move into the second row. Let's see what happens. I can tell you now, if England do get themselves into a little bit of a pickle, Matt Williams is going to have something to say. Looking at Scotland, they too have a 6-2 split. Funny how fashionable this option has become all of a sudden, don't you think? I like the look of the Scottish pack, I must be honest. You've got Skuman and Fagerson. Well, they're as solid as any pair of props that you'll find anywhere in the world, in my opinion. And then I think Rory Dodge, their open side flank, is a wonderful player. I've been very impressed by him during this Six Nations tournament so far. And if you've watched enough of my channel, you will know that I've got a thing for loose forwards, especially flanks, especially open side flanks. Dodge is a very, very impressive rugby player by my estimation. Now, our old friend Matt Williams was very vocal about Gregor Townsend's decision to go 6-2 in their defeat to Ireland last time. Fly-half Finn Russell had to leave the field because of a head injury. Stafford McDowell came on for Russell and Tom Jordan moved from centre to 10. Jordan is not an out-and-out fly-half, even though he obviously can play there. Williams found fault with this. He pointed out that Townsend had been bitten by his decision not to have cover at 10. Williams lamented the fact that there wasn't a trained fly-half to fill the gap left by Russell. And then, of course, he found a way to reference us and how World Rugby should outlaw the 6-2 and 7-1 bench splits. Whatever. I think the Scots have a great backline in any event. Russell is a magician. I don't think any of us would dispute that. For me, he has to be the British and Irish Lions fly-half on their tour to Australia later this year. Then you've got Duan van der Merwe and Blair Kinghorn, 2 of the 3 potential British and Irish Lions, back 3 you might say. And then you've got Jordan and Hugh Jones, who are pretty handy players themselves. I saw on X earlier in the week someone asked the question if Scotland has the best backline in the world. Let me answer that very quickly for you. We will never know. A backline is only as good as its pack allows it to be. You can have the best backline players in the world, but if you're losing the battle up front, that backline will not be able to show you what it can really do. Anyone who knows anything about rugby will tell you that it all starts up front. Show me a weak pack, and I'll show you a team that loses more often than it wins. And I know that you might say, well, I'm speaking from an attacking perspective. Maybe when you look at a defensive point of view, now you've got a backline that is going backwards and they have to reorganize, they have to shuffle themselves around perhaps, whatever the case may be. Yeah, okay, well then maybe you could turn around and say that maybe they have the best defensive backline. But the overall best backline? Can't agree with that, sorry. And anyway, to that end, should I say, the English have a slightly better pack. I lost my train of thought there for a moment. Excuse me. Now, I'm saying that the English have a better pack than Scotland have, but not so much better that an England victory is a sure thing. Let me be very clear on that. But I do think overall, the English have got just that little bit more about them up front. And for that reason, I'm going for a home win at Twickenham. I'm thinking something like 25-20. That said, this match is historically big on the upset alert warning. Scotland, more often than not, have not been as good as England, but have raised their game on many occasions and completed some memorable and famous wins over their old rivals. This match is for the Calcutta Cup, and you can never really say with certainty who is going to take that trophy. And let me surprise you with a fun fact that you might not know or remember. Scotland have actually won this fixture in each of the last 4 encounters. I told you the Calcutta Cup is a match where upsets frequently occur. And that's why I'm going with an England victory. No, but seriously, it's almost incredible that the Scots have beaten the English 4 times in a row. And while pretty much everyone outside of England will be happy about that, and no doubt rooting for another Scottish victory on this occasion, I really genuinely do think Borthwick's boys will get over the line at Twickenham. Finally, let's talk about the first match of the weekend. Wales host Ireland in Cardiff. So with Warren Gatland out, Matt Sherratt, and I hope I've pronounced that correctly, has come in to take temporary charge. The Englishman has made 10 changes, including 2 positional switches, in the hope of sparking some kind of reaction. For example, Ellis Mee will make his debut on the wing. Tommy Reffel starts for the first time in the Six Nations. Elliot Dee and Nicky Smith will start for the first time in this year's competition too. Wilgriff John is at tight head, and this is his first ever Six Nations match. Now look, I think it's great that Wales are mixing it up a bit, but I don't think they have the personnel to pull off a win over Ireland, no matter what they do. If I look at the forwards, I see 2 genuinely world-class players, Captain Jack Morgan and lock Will Rowlands. It's unfortunate that Dewey Lake is currently injured, but what can you do? In the backline, who do they have? Sure, Gareth Anscombe is a quality player, but the rest of it is extremely inexperienced. We're talking 5 of the 7 players having fewer than 10 caps. Now look, it could galvanise them, I grant you. The Irish have also made several changes themselves. Some of those have been as a result of injury. So there could be some issues with gelling and cohesion. That said, any pack that still has Andrew Porter, Dan Sheehan, Ty Byrne, Peter O'Mahony and Josh van der Fleer in it is formidable. I simply cannot see the Welsh living with them. The likes of Jamison Gibson-Park, Sam Prendergast, James Lowe, Gary Ringrose and Mac Hansen are also all present in their backline. And for fun, Conor Murray and Bundy Aki are part of a 5-3 bench split. I'm picking Ireland to win this one, something like 35-10. And the only reason I'm going with that is because I think the new look Welsh team will be up for it. They'll fight really hard, have the crowd behind them, and Ireland might struggle to get going with a few changes that they've made, some of which, as previously mentioned, like Captain Caelan Doris, as a result of injury. So what do you think? What are your predictions for this weekend's round of Six Nations matches? Let me know in the comment section down below. And while you're down there, you might want to consider making a highlighted comment. You can do that using what is called the Super Thanks button. You'll see down there, there's a heart button with a $sign inside of it. If you click on that, it will give you the opportunity to make a highlighted comment. I will reply to it. That's a promise. I will also click the heart button on your comment, and you will be given the opportunity to make a small donation to my channel. The reason that I'm asking for that, guys, is because I want to do this full time. And further to that, I would love to go to Australia in 2027 and cover the Rugby World Cup for you from down under with daily content. So if you'd like to help me get there and to achieve that goal, go ahead and click on the super thanks option. If you're not yet ready to support me in that manner, you can also just click on the regular like button, or you could just spear tackle it while you're there. You can also subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. Now, we mentioned earlier in this episode that England and Scotland will be doing battle at Twickenham. South Africa will be at Twickenham later this year, but not against England. Instead, we will be playing Argentina. Find out why in this video that's appearing on your screen over here. And James Small, the famous Springbok wing who passed away a few years ago, has an exciting new biography coming out. If you want to find out how you can win yourself a copy of that biography on this channel, check out this video over here, and I will speak to you next time.